to do something with. We'll see if Chris Ballard pulls the trigger. But I think we're still going to see a couple more position players traded from crappy teams to good teams. And it'll be interesting to see who those guys are. Do the Cowboys go get somebody? With the Cowboys leading the division, they look like they're going to be buyers in the trade market. Maybe a team like Philadelphia that says, all right, we're not exactly where we need to be. Maybe you look at getting rid of a wide receiver. I think that New Orleans, as banged up as they've been, Kamara missed last week. Michael Thomas has had a good year. They could use one more weapon because Brandon Cooks just hasn't been the guy that thought that they were going to get when they traded for him. So I think we'll see some position players on the move. Maybe the 49ers who just picked up Emmanuel Sanders. That was a good pickup. Maybe they go out and get a couple more to help the defense and Richard Sherman. I think there's a lot of teams that are buying, a lot of teams that they're selling when they come up to the deadline.
Should we read into the tea leaves at all that Antonio Gates was at the Colts complex this week?
I doubt it. I doubt that there's anything to that. When you look at, you've got Doyle, you've got Ebron, you've got Mo Alley Cox. Maybe it's a motivational thing. Maybe Gates is doing some broadcasting. But no, I don't think you really read too much into it. But I guess you never know. But I don't see where he would be a need or a fit. And at 39 years old, maybe they're looking to have him come in to be the tight ends coach.
Maybe. You can't get a better tight end coach. That's for sure. Hey, let's talk about the Patriots. I hate talking about the Patriots. Everybody in the city hates talking about the Patriots. When you look at their defense, man, historically good. And we hate to talk about the Patriots, but, man, here we go again. We're talking about the Patriots, and their defense could take them right to the Super Bowl.
And that's something you never thought you would really say, right? The Patriots, we always think about offense and the numbers that Tom Brady puts up. And there were some rumors, some trade rumors or some end-of-the-season rumors going on that this could be the last year for Tom Brady in New England. I don't buy that. I don't buy it until I see it. But, yeah, how about that, saying that the defense is what's going to win what's going to get the Patriots to the Super Bowl. They played so well the night against the Jets. Obviously the now famous, the infamous quote from Sam Darnold that he was seeing ghosts. The Jets, not a very good team. New England just fires on all cylinders. They forced, 4 or 5 interceptions. They had a safety. Special teams has played well. So, yeah, I think that's the first time, Tom, in this 25-year run for the New England Patriots that we can say that the defense is what's going to get them over the top and into the Super Bowl.
You talk about Sam Darnold, and here's the thing. I know he had his struggles. He's come back from mono. He's back. There's a lot of things that he's dealing with. I just wondered. It was really a bad decision to have him mic'd up. And let's just clear the air. He's not the first quarterback to ever say I've seen ghosts out there. That's a fairly common thing to say, which basically means that the defense tricked him and he saw something that wasn't there and he went in one way and didn't go. It's a fairly common thing to say that I'm seeing ghosts, but I don't know. I look at two different bad decisions here by the NFL. One, to mic him up and broadcast that, and then two, by the Jets to allow the NFL to have him mic'd up, because once you're mic'd up, you pretty much consent to let the NFL decide what they're going to air. They could have went with a handful of other people with the Jets that are veterans that weren't. I mean, if nothing else, I'm looking at my guy coming back. He needs to be focused. He's coming back from mono. He needs to be focused. We're playing the Patriots. This is not the right game for my quarterback to be mic'd up. That said, he was mic'd up and said, I'm seeing ghosts, and that's all we've heard about this week.
Yeah, and I don't mind the whole miking up thing. I mean, that's obviously it's a battle between TV networks that cover these games and the teams to have a better experience to be able to watch, especially on Monday night. The seeing ghosts thing, I just kind of took that as guys weren't in the right routes where they should have been, and other defenders were coming out of nowhere. I wasn't mad that he was mic'd up. I just think that they're a bad team. They got lucky against the Cowboys and kind of set the tempo there. I think moving forward, being mic'd up is fine. I had no problem with that, and it's just he had an awful game, and you're going to have those in the NFL, and the Jets are not a very good team.
Well, I tell you what, who did not have an awful game last year, and we'll see how it comes into this week with the Packers, and I believe they played the Chiefs. But Aaron Rodgers, perfect quarterback scoring. If you do not play him in fantasy football and you have him in fantasy football, shame on you, because Aaron Rodgers. Only 1 to 5 touchdowns, but he got 6. Perfect QB rating last week for Aaron Rodgers. Man, he still got it.
Yeah, he probably threw another touchdown that night to Danica. It was a great performance. He's been up and down this season, and
love it.
I love Aaron Rodgers. I love the Packers. When he is performing at his best, he is one of the top players in any sport, I think, to watch. And what a great performance. And we'll see what he can do against the Chiefs coming up because we don't know if Mahomes is going to play. He hasn't been ruled out. And that's one of the most anticipated games probably of the year and probably the most anticipated game I could think of since last year down in Mexico when the Chiefs played the Rams. So we'll see what Aaron Rodgers can do. I like the Packers on that one. I just haven't, I know that Kansas City got back on it last week with a 30-6 win over Denver, but I think the Packers have a slight advantage in this one.
QB power rankings are out. Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Deshaun Watson round out the top 3. Certainly no arguments there.
Yeah, I mean, there's been some great quarterback play if you think about it. What they're doing in Carolina is incredible without Cam Newton, what Teddy Bridgewater's been able to do with the Saints. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, top of that list. Brady's doing everything he needs to do. I think Jacoby Brissett needs to get a sniff. I mean, people are kind of overlooking him and what the Colts are doing. They're going to be favored in probably every game the rest of the way out besides the one on the road against the Saints if Drew Brees is back. I think the Colts are going to make some noise. I've really enjoyed what I've seen of Deshaun Watson this year. He's played great football for the Texans, who, yeah, they lost to the Colts last week, but have still been playing good football. Lamar Jackson, what an impressive win, probably the most impressive win of the season so far for any team was going to Seattle last week and getting that win. On that flip side, too, Russell Wilson's been playing very well. Did not have a good game last week, but so far this year he's been playing well. So there's been awesome quarterback play, I think, throughout the league.
Well, as we mentioned, Ed Kratz can't join us this week because he is on the road to Buffalo. So let's talk about that game. The Eagles and the Buffalo certainly got to watch. Philadelphia allows 6 most passing yards per game in the NFL, but Buffalo's passing game ranks 21st. And let's face it, the Buffalo Bills are underneath the radar. They're winning some games, and they're one of the better teams in the AFC right now.
Yeah, they're trying to keep pace with the Patriots, and they've got a good defense, and they're winning grinded out games they should win. I mean, the schedule kind of matches up for them to be able to win football games. And I just, I don't know who Philadelphia is. I don't know who Carson Wentz is. It seems like one week they're flying high on all cylinders, and then the next week they look like garbage, and they looked like garbage in prime time last week against the Cowboys. But Buffalo, with a chance to go to 6-1, probably would be getting more love if it wasn't for the 49ers being so surprising at 6-0. But Cole Beasley, who knows the Eagles well, obviously spending a lot of time in Dallas, like he's going to be a key in this game. But you look at the Eagles, they've lost their last 2 games by 18-plus points. But then 3 weeks ago they were beating the Packers. And you just think, who is this team? What can they do? And I think with the Buffalo Bills defense, it's probably going to be cold there in Buffalo. I think the Bills have the advantage in this one because I just don't know who Philadelphia is. And almost as surprising as saying that the defense for the Patriots is what's carrying them is the fact that I can say that Buffalo has shown probably the most consistency out of any team in the AFC this year.
Well, let's walk through the NFL. Let's kind of take a look at these games. We'll start back over here in the AFC South, and the Titans have the Buccaneers. Nothing exciting between either one of these two teams, and certainly Colts coach Bruce Arians is down at Tampa Bay. Certainly not getting the start to that coaching team that he wanted to have. They come in at 2-4. Titans are 3-4. But I'll tell you what, I like Ryan Tannehill and the Titans. I certainly like Ryan Tannehill at the helm much better than I do Marcus Mariota. A lot of people might disagree with me on that, but I think Ryan Tannehill has found a good home there in Tennessee. It's just all the other forces are working against them. You got the Buccaneers at the Titans.
Yeah, if you're betting this game, I'd like to know what you're on, because this is a stay away game for me. But I do like the Titans. They've been able to establish the running game. They've played pretty good defense, and like you mentioned, it's so different with Mariota and Tannehill. Tannehill a pocket quarterback, which means less holding for the offensive line for the Titans. That means less ineligible men downfield. So we'll see. I think the Titans should win this one, but I think it's going to be an ugly, grinded out 17-14 type game.
Got the Chargers at the Bears. It's going to be kind of a rainy, cold day at the Bears, which plays to the advantage of the Bears there at Soldier Field, 3-3. The Bears defense will force a minimum of 3 turnovers. But, the thing about it, Melvin Gordon is averaging 2.3 yards per rush this season, and is the second worst in the NFL among those with 30 attempts. Maybe he should have held out a little bit longer, but you got the Chargers and the Bears.
And Tom, I don't think we have enough time to break down just the inconsistency and the what the heck are you doing for both of these teams. The Chargers get that win first of the year against the Colts. You think that they're flying high, then they lose to the Texans. They've been struggling lately. Phillip Rivers, they get destroyed by the Steelers on Sunday Night Football 3 weeks ago. Very inconsistent team. This is a team that was in the playoffs last year. And then it's the same with the Bears. A lot of people have Mitch Trubisky possibly being an MVP candidate, Tariq Cohen. The wide receiving core for the Bears has not stepped up. The defense has tried to keep them in games. But these are two teams that they're head-scratching teams. I mean, the Bears have dropped 2 in a row to the Raiders and the Saints. They beat the Vikings, who we know are flying high. When you look at the Bears, what happened? What's going on? Why can't Mitch Trubisky get it going? Why does he seem to struggle? Why has the rushing game not been going well for the Bears? I think, again, this is going to be one of those nasty, gross, cold Chicago Bear games of the 80s. Phillip Rivers is going to be on his back a lot, but I think Mitchell Trubisky is not good enough right now to be able to carry these guys. I would not be surprised if neither team broke 20 points in this one.
Well, we might even be seeing the end of the Mitch days in Chicago, so we'll see what happens. One more final game because we're about out of time here, and that's the Cardinals at the Saints. I mean, even though the Cardinals are 3-3-1, the Saints are 6-1. Drew Brees appears to have a good chance of returning, but all that said, Terry Bridgewater is proven what it takes to be a good backup quarterback. And, when you got to come in and back up a guy like Drew Brees, you got a lot of shoes to fill, and he did a fantastic job. I certainly think that the Cardinals have what it takes, especially with Patrick Peterson, to hold the Saints receiver Michael Thomas to fewer than 50 receiving yards. But I still think the Saints have much more in their tank. And Kyler Murray has 4 total touchdowns and 0 interceptions in the past 3 games, all wins. The Saints take care of business relatively easy at home this weekend.
Yeah, I think this game's going to be one of the most underrated games, maybe of the year. I think this could be a good one. I got a feeling it could turn into a shootout, depending if Teddy Bridgewater or Drew Brees is playing. The Saints defense, even though this team is 6-1, they're still giving up points. They gave up 25 points to the Bears. That was the most the Bears have scored all year. They let the Buccaneers hang around. They did beat the Rams on the road as well as Seattle. I like the Saints. I like what you said with Teddy Bridgewater. You didn't know what you had. This is a guy that, remember, a couple of years ago suffered an injury in Minnesota you in training camp, and you thought he might not ever play again. He's came back. They've been firing on all cylinders, but so have the Cardinals. The Cardinals have found some consistency with Kyler Murray, the rushing game, and the defense. The problem I have with the Cardinals is yeah, they're hot. They've won 3 in a row, but it's been to 3 of the worst teams in the league between the Bengals, the Bengals, Falcons, and Giants. So we'll see. We'll find out if the Cardinals are for real, if they found something over the next 2 weeks, because you get New Orleans coming up tomorrow, and then you got to welcome in the 6-0 San Francisco 49ers. So we'll find out what Kyler Murray's really made over the next 2 weeks.
what he's got in the tank. Tony Donahue, the Tony D podcast, steps in and thanks for filling the shoes for Ed Kratz in the NFL segment with us today, sir. Enjoy your rainy weekend here in Indianapolis.